Today we're going to be talking about the guys who have automatically qualified for the NCAA Championships due to their performance in their respective conference, as well as guys who could grab those wildcard spots. Let's go right into the video. So first off, at 125, the automatic qualifiers are up on the screen, and if you don't know what that is, it's basically the guys who did well at the conference tournament. So for each conference varies on how many automatic qualifiers they have, but for the smaller conferences like the Pac-12, SoCon, they only have like one, who's the champion in the tournament, while Big 10s, Big 12s, they usually have 4 or 5, depending on the strength of that weight class in that conference. But strongest guys here who have qualified already are Spencer Lee, and then Jacob Camacho and Sam Latona. Dark horses as well are Robert Howard and Dylan Ragusin. A lot of upsets in this 125-pound weight class, so it really is open other than for Latona, Camacho, and Spencer Lee. Now the wild cards, we could see the 4 guys we could see getting the wild card spots are Liam Cronin, Eric Barnett, and Justin Cardani. Those are 3 of the 4 guys that I think really have a solid shot at getting it, because Cronin and Barnett all have wins over automatic qualifiers and ranked wrestlers. And then Cardani, who has a really bad record, is actually a lot better than his record shows him to be. He has a lot of wins over ranked opponents as well. And I think he only has 1 or 2 losses to guys who weren't automatically qualified. And at 133, the automatic qualifiers are up, but the favorites or the strongest guys who've already qualified are definitely Dayton Fix, guy of Oklahoma. Then there's also RBY of Penn State and Austin DeSanto of Iowa. RBY did have that win over DeSanto in this past weekend though. But as for the wild cards, this one is actually really hard to decide, as there have been a lot of upsets in this weight class outside of the Big Ten. Michael McGee is one of those guys who has a pretty good shot at making it. He beat Bianchi, he beat Madrigal, and he beat Greenwood. But he did have that one slip up to Chance Rich in the Pac-12 championships. So I would definitely say Chance Rich and Michael McGee could make it. But for the rest of the guys like Ryan Sullivan, Paul Bianchi, it's really up to the seeding committee, and it's pretty hard to decide because of the upsets and matches that they have wrestled. At 141 pounds, the guys who have already qualified who are the strongest are definitely Nick Lee, Sebastian Rivera, Jaden Ironman, and then Tariq Wilson of NC State. Wouldn't be surprised if those 4 guys are in the semifinals of the NCAA Championship 2 weeks from now. But as for the wild cards, Brian Courtney definitely will be a lock. He's from Virginia and safest guy to pick for a wild card. He has a win over the SoCon champion Anthony Britt. He has a win over Sam Halegas and Cole Matthews. But Real Woods, this is going to be one of the controversial wild cards. He actually has only wrestled 2 or 3 matches, I believe. He was planning on winning the Pac-12 championships and getting an automatic bid from being a champion, but did get pinned to, I think, Grant Wilson or something like that. But definitely wasn't his best match since he hadn't wrestled in a while. But his Stanford team has decided to wrestle him in extra matches, getting 1 or 2 more matches this weekend, so he could qualify for an at-large bid, but depends on if the at-large committee will decide to give Real Woods a win, even though he is wrestling kind of extra unofficial matches. And at 149, strong guys here are Sammy Sasso as well as Ridge Lovett from the Big Ten. Then the wild cards, guys who probably will get the wild card, are Max Murin. First of all, he went 0-2 at the Big Tens, which is very surprising. He lost to Michael Blockus, and I think he also lost to Ridge Lovett in a very interesting matchup. But he should get a wild card spot since he has such a high ranking in the coaches polls, and he has wins over Blockus and Mikey Carr. But then another guy who could get a wild card is Yaya Thomas of Northwestern. He was ranked in the top 12 for most of the season and in the coaches poll. Also has a win over automatic qualifier Graham Rooks and Bo Bartlett, who's in the mix for a wild card as well. Then finally at 157, strong guy is Ryan Deacon, of course, Hayden Hidlay as well, and then David Carr of Iowa State. But then for the wild cards, there's not a bunch of competition, but K. DeVos is definitely one of those guys who should get a wild card since he only lost to automatic qualifiers, and Vanderweer, who's also going to get a wild card as well since he has a win over K. DeVos and Justin Thomas. As for the other guys, it's kind of a mystery, a toss-up. A lot of these guys have upset each other, and picking wild cards is definitely one of the hardest things to do if you're on the NCAA Wrestling Committee, in my opinion. there's just so many upsets and so many changes in rankings depending on what site you're looking at. So it's really hard to pick a wild card, but I definitely think K. DeVos and Vandermeer could get a wild card. But yeah, it's going to wrap up our video talking about the automatic qualifiers as well as potential wild cards in the first 5 weight classes. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe for more wrestling content like this.